Hello, hello, hello. It's the Real Ones, and I'm Lisa Jones.
I'm Goldyn Duffy.
And we are so amped up today. We're going to do jazz hands.
I might have had too much caffeine. I don't know. No, we just did a session with someone, and holy cow.
Oh, wow.
The energy is just...
The energy is, not only is the energy amazing, I just have to say, you and I working together is like freaking... I don't know.
The angels are singing. The angels are singing.
Yeah, it's like a choir of angels just start absolutely singing and saying, oh my God, this is what the world needs right now. More of us.
No, it's true. And it's not egotistical. It's just like we are firm in our gifts and we feel really strongly about the wisdom that's coming through. So if you want to do a session with us, just contact us at goldynandlisa@gmail.com. We're doing donation-based stuff to help people. And you just have to be willing to be anonymous and let us share it so that everybody can benefit. That's it.
Yeah. And it's amazing. And again, the synchronicity of just how each person that we've done a clearing for, today it was all about business and how to really, tie into that, which we have not had that before. So once again, it's very exciting.
Yes.
All right. Are we ready to go to Facebook Live?
Let's go, because we told them 10 minutes ago.
10 minutes ago. Okay, let's get this live up and going. But we so appreciate you listening right now if you're listening to us via podcast or YouTube, because we love you guys. It's you're really dedicated to us, and please share with your friends and family and anyone who you think would benefit, because we just want to help the world.
Yeah, we're in it to win it.
That's right. Okay, I'm taking the steps to get on Facebook Live. We never quite know when we're live, so.
They always tell me. I don't know why they don't tell you.
I don't know. Wouldn't you think that would be just a normal thing, that they could just make it very clear when I'm
ding, 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 you're on Facebook.
Right. Exactly. All right, I'm going to call this We Are on Fire.
Yeah, we are on fire today. There is no doubt about it.
Okay, let's see here. All right.
Here we go. Hi,
on fire. Hey guys.
Hey, we're happy to be here.
Yes, we're a little earlier, even though we're a little later. We said we'd be on in 5 minutes. It took us a little longer, but we're earlier than our normal 1:11 time. But wow,
going on a lot of things. I pulled my back out sleeping, so I have to go to the chiropractor.
That's right. Yeah, we're making time for that. And we just did a session. We just did an energy, what do we call it? Frequency tuning. We did a frequency tuning before, and we're doing a follow-up with one of our guests later today.
Our first guest. So this is our first 30-day trial run with somebody to see how they did. And when you guys do a session with us, you actually get the recording, so you get to listen to it, and we instruct people to do that for 30 days to see what the energy does for you after listening for 30 days. And we're excited to do that today.
Yes, we are so excited. So what is going on? I'm so amped up after our session.
Oh, I know. I feel really excited about today, and it has nothing to do with the world at all. It's like this internal joy that I just keep amping up from being in my own little world and not really working diligently on just not allowing a lot of things. Because I realized yesterday, the only reason why I'm unhappy about things that are happening is because of my belief system around them and the fact that I keep tuning into them. So it's just pulling away from all that, not putting your head in the sand necessarily, but not activating so much angst with what's going on or what's going to happen or who's closing what or whatever. It's like, doesn't matter.
You can't, this is like the biggest time right now is, you can't look outside and look at reality. You're creating your reality. And so if you're tuning into negative news and, information that's upsetting you, as soon as you start feeling angst about whatever you're reading or seeing, step away, put yourself in a different position or universe or whatever, and don't go there. Why would we want to, continue that negative feeling or those energies? Stop.
And work on releasing the feelings, whatever the feelings are that are coming up for you. That's what you have control over, is releasing those feelings, and whatever traumas and triggers are coming up for you or are your calling to do your work. But I think for a lot of us who have done a lot of healing work, what's happening right now is just a matter of being really diligent about tuning our frequencies. For me, that's all it is. There's nothing happening here. There's nothing going on. There's nothing serious.
That's
We
right.
can just roll with the energies, and we can still flow, and we can still let our lives unfold and watch as the synchronicities and miracles happen, because now we are just in that powerful position of releasing so much, trying to make it happen energy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's so interesting. So I'm still don't know if my daughter, I mean, the big weddings have all been canceled, but there's still a chance that we're going to do a small family wedding, just the parents and the siblings. So that's, let's see, 2, 4, 6, so 8 of us. But we're, the idea is to get together, and I don't know if we're going or not.
2 weeks from now?
Yeah, it's 2 weeks from yesterday, and we still don't know if we have the military permission for him to leave the state of California to go to Florida for this little event. And a couple of weeks ago, I was just like, oh my God, I don't know if I even want to fly. I was just getting all caught up. And again, I'm not saying that there's not something going on out there. I understand there is, but I'm so excited. I want to see my family. I want to see my children. And I'm just creating my own experience. And again, I believe that there are no mistakes, and that, if I were to get COVID and pass, well, then that's what my destiny was. I'm really not concerned. And I don't think I'm going to get it anyway, but I am just embracing the love and being in that state of love, and just hoping for the best that I get to see everybody. So
it's a high vibrational state that you can't create illness from. So
that's
perfect.
Right. Yeah.
Love that.
So, fingers crossed. And, again, I don't know, but I'm creating the experience of just absolute joy and happiness. And then I'm going to get to see my family and see my daughter in her wedding dress and all that good stuff.
And big congratulations to you passing your real estate exam. That is so exciting.
Yes, I passed the Hawaii real estate exam this past Saturday, and I'm actually going to have a little celebration with a few friends this coming Saturday, a little dance party. And it was crazy how much relief I felt after that, because I had been studying a lot. I had to do a 60-hour course. And then I had to study another maybe 20 hours on top of that. So, and then as I'm taking the exam, I'm telling you, they were asking questions that I had never seen, and all of that,
good. Yeah.
Hours of studying. And so I just I just stopped. I took a deep breath. I'm like, angels, please guide me, because I have no idea what's going on right now. All I can do is tap into the, universal divine wisdom that's right there, and just tell me what letter I'm doing, A, B, C, or D. And I have no idea. Obviously it worked.
That's not spiritual cheating either.
No,
this is a good thing to share with people, because when we get anxious or when we feel fear, we actually shut down our channel between the divine energy that could come through that would actually tell us how to do things. I had a client a while ago, actually, you know her really well. We're working on a project with her right now. And she had gone through a divorce, and it was her first time building a fire. And she just she got anxious about it, and then she just let go, and she took some deep breaths, and she brought in divine wisdom, and she built a killer fire. So it's like we have the ability to create anything. What keeps us from it is that fear, anxiety, and the belief that we can't do it. When we take ourselves out of that and we just open ourselves up to divine wisdom, that's when all of this, non-physical support can come in and tell you exactly what to do.
Oh my gosh. I've got such chills as you're saying that, because that's exactly what happened. I let go, and I was like, oh, well, if I have to take it again, I have to take it again. Like, I let go of that feeling like, oh my God, if I fail, I'm a failure. I didn't do enough. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to turn it over, and just whatever happens, happens. And you hit the button, and right then and there, it's like, pass. I passed the national exam and pass the Hawaii. And there were probably 5 or 6 people that finished before me, and they didn't pass. And so I felt all this relief of, just
so
like,
even though there was all this energy around you that
yes,
aren't passing, you're like, that's not my reality.
Yeah, that's not my reality. And I walked out of that building, and I just had this flood of I feel like it was just this divine, love that just poured over me, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Who am I going to tell? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm just going to feel really happy about it right now.
That's beautiful. Oh, I love it.
But then I shared it on Facebook, and thank you everybody for chiming in. My God, I think it's the most responded to post I've had probably ever. But hey, if you want to come to Maui, we've got amazing, this is your safe haven, and I know there's going to be a lot of people selling their,
for sure.
They've got multiple rental properties, and they're going to want to dump them because they can't afford it. So it's going to be an interesting time here on Maui, and it's so safe. We have no you know, very few. I don't know. I don't want to say no, but just there's been nothing here.
I should just come. I should just get out of California.
Just get out of California, come to the safe haven, just stay with me for 2 weeks to quarantine, and then we can go play.
Talk to my husband. Would ya?
Yeah, we will.
Need to get out. So my father-in-law passed away. We'll talk about one of your subjects.
I was just gonna say that was the next thing that came up is that death and your father-in-law. So
so it was really interesting. And when my husband told me, now he had stayed with us for a couple of months back in June. Thank God, right before this.
Oh my God, before COVID. That's right.
COVID was just starting to happen when he went back home. So we actually got him in a really great facility, and then that ended up being way too much, financially, it was just crazy. So his sister ended up taking him back to her house, and he was he had something called Lewy body syndrome. So he was starting to have hallucinations, and he was starting to lose his, his grip on reality. He was very much living in the past. And we had some funny conversations. We were very light about it. I never made him feel uncomfortable about his hallucinations. I was really interested. Like, I wanted to talk about it. And he was kind of shy. I think he knew, that there was a part of it that wasn't right in the human perspective. So I didn't really get too much, because he would tell me things about his brother that passed away. And I was very close with his brother. He was like one of my, we had a really good relationship. So I was like trying to grill him, like, oh, where is he and what's going on, But before he passed away, he had a couple of really interesting things with people who had passed on to non-physical. And when I heard that he passed away, I was like, good for you. Because what people don't understand about like dementia or Alzheimer's, or when we start to lose our faculties, that they say people are going crazy or whatever. The truth of the matter is it's people that are scared to die. And so the energy needs to slow down for them so they can start to make the transition. So I actually did a session with a woman whose mom, she was so sad about her mom having Alzheimer's. And I said, your mom has one foot in each world. And that made her feel so much better. It was like, oh, she's not suffering. I'm suffering watching her like this, but she's not suffering. She's kind of in between the worlds. So sometimes they have to do that to be able to transition. So the immediate response I had was, I was proud of him for transitioning, because I'm sure he was afraid of death. He definitely was. He also had a real gratitude for life, because he always felt like he was going to die in his 50s, and he was 77. So he had a joy and a gratitude for life that we'll take those lessons with us moving forward. And he was very easy, very go with the flow. Things like Girl Scout cookies just lit up his world. I mean, just little things that we so take for granted. And so I kind of high-fived him, because I was like, good for you, And then you feel grief. Like, I felt grief in my lungs. I felt sadness. I cried. Telling my kids was tough. My husband too was like, the most sadness he felt was when we told the kids, and it's like they lost their grandpa, and that was their pretty much only connected grandparent. So that was tough. And my kids, some of them are still really grappling with it. But for my husband and I, we're so connected to the non-physical world that we felt his joy all day. Like, I could feel it. So that
I feel it right now. My whole body just tingled when you said that.
So intense. And I knew that was going to happen, because we had this beautiful connection with him for a couple of months where he stayed with us and we took care of him and we did things,
Yeah, what a blessing that you guys had that opportunity.
Huge. So then really interestingly, Saturday, we had 9 birds outside on our wire, and they were going crazy. And I was like, what is happening? Like, it's so obvious. So then there's this one bird. They're all the same kind of bird, but the one bird is red, right? So I don't know if that's the male. I was guessing it was the male, because they're usually prettier. So there's 9 of them. And when we were in Sedona, we had 9 ravens that were circling us. And the shaman we were with were like, oh, that's your passed away loved ones. And we've had a lot of people pass away in our lives. Like, we had years where it was like 3 people at the same time. And just we've had a lot of death, not recently, but like 10, 15 years ago. And people we were super close to. So all of a sudden Mike's like, that's them. Like, that's our crew. And I was like, oh my God. And this one bird came over talking to us, like turning its head like this, like constantly. And these birds have been out here, but not like that. So I'm talking to Mike and I turn my head because the wire's over here, and I turn my head and the bird flies to the fence and sits right in front of us and keeps talking. And Mike did a video. I'm like, it's so obvious this bird is your dad. Like, it's so obvious.
He's talking. How exciting. That is just such a wonderful sign to get immediately.
It was pretty cool. And like, we both knew it right away. It's like this.
Yeah.
So you have that connection. You're not so much in grief and so sad about the physical departure that you're able to feel that. And I don't know if we were fortunate enough to feel like, oh, he lived a great life,
Yeah.
You have that. When you have older people pass away, it's easier to feel that way. Like they weren't cheated,
Right. Well, and what's so beautiful is what I found, again, if people aren't aware, I hosted a show called Exploring Death for 2.5 years on a podcast. And I've had a shared death experience when my husband died. And I had that joy because I had an out-of-body experience and got to see that he was going into heaven. And so when they said, oh, he took his last breath, I was just like, oh my God, I'm so excited for him, And so then so again, most times people aren't okay with death and they go into this real sad, deep grief. And then you miss all the signs, you miss that connection with them. And that's why it's really, really great if you can embrace death and really, do some reading, some research, read a bunch of the hospice work is so important because it talks about people being 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and that veil thinning and how amazing it is. I mean, that's why I love doing hospice work, to be able to sit with my patients and cross over with them. And so, but that's why a lot of times people are like, well, I'm not getting any signs. I'm not. And it's because people are so deep in their grief, they've cut themselves off from the connection. Yeah. And so the fact that both, you and Michael were able to just feel the joy of it and the gratefulness, he was right there and he was talking to you, and that's just amazing.
Well, and when death happens in your life, if you can pull away and go, okay, what do I really believe? Because I think people lose touch with their belief systems when their mind takes over, when their sadness takes over, when their emotions take over. If you can really get into like, what do I really believe? Like, do I really believe there's a heaven? Do I really believe there's an infinite stream of energy that they go back into? And, everyone keeps saying like, oh, he's gone. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That's like the people's line. I'm so sorry.
I do not like saying I'm sorry.
I'm not feeling sorry right now. I'm feeling a lot of joy. And that may seem callous. And actually, Mike and I were talking about that, about being careful what you say to certain people that are really sad about him leaving. And I'm like, but he's not gone. Like he's all around us, like more than ever. And I told my daughter actually had a miracle happen like right after this. So she's been staying in that house for $100 a month, and it ends August 1st. And her job has been a little wonky because we just closed indoor restaurants. So they had to move all the tables outside. So they have less servers. She's still kicking butt, making money. But she had that initial like, oh my God, I have to find a place in like 2 weeks, And so he passes away that day. And then she gets a message from her landlord saying, we're going to let you stay until September because your grandfather passed away and everything.
Oh, that's wonderful. I hadn't heard that.
Immediately, miracle, Poppy's blessing you. And so the guy goes, he goes, yeah, Jesus told me to do it or something like that. He's pretty spiritual guy. And I said, Jesus and Poppy, like they're together.
They are best friends. My whole back is chilling.
I know. I just got
like,
it's
that beautiful. That's so great. Oh my God, what a blessing. And now, so she's just kind of like, oh my God. And she's got this 3-bedroom house with this beautiful yard. Her babysitter lives walking distance. I mean, it's really such a great situation for her and her baby that we couldn't have asked for more, really, except for maybe a pool. I don't know. All right, that's getting a little
Actually, no, I just manifested a pool because all of my gym friends live in this incredible neighborhood with this huge pool, and they invite me over all the time. So I did get
perfect. That's awesome. That is so good.
Yeah. So life is good when you decide it is.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And you look at things differently and things are different, because that's the other thing, with the whole death is like people just, I mean, even with this whole situation with people dying, it's, people are all like, oh, well, you don't care about people dying. And it's not that at all. It's just that it's not, they're transitioning to another state. They're not dead. They're still here. And I'm working actually with a really cool project called the Soul Phone, where they're actually going to create a thing where you can type like a keyboard and you can type to your passed away loved ones and talk to them. So soon, guys, there's going to be no separation other than the physical, yeah, we still don't get to hug them, but, and then they're going to actually create a Zoom kind of thing where we're going to see a holographic of them.
That's
to be able to like Zoom with our passed away loved ones. So yeah, it's very, very exciting.
That's like mind blowing.
I know. And it's going to help people with grief because grief is all just, it's not necessary. I mean, of course you got to go through it because you do
there's
miss
some
the
emotion
physical.
I feel like that needs to be
you got to release
like
it.
I said, I felt it in my lungs, and they actually say that grief is in the lungs, and that was something that I learned right when this whole whatever thing started to happen, was that it was affecting the lungs, so that they could release the grief, because there's grief from a lot of different things. There's grief from divorce. There's grief from missing your children when they move across the country. Thank you, firstborn. There's grief about a lot of things, like grief when things don't go the way we want them to go, or our life doesn't go. Mm-hmm. So there's like this stuff that just sits inside of our body. And that's why our energy release stuff is so impactful. And it's going to work for so many different people because we all kind of deal in the same framework. And we're just releasing energy that's been trapped there, that is an underlying vibration that's actually creating in your life, whether you're aware of it. And it's not a subconscious thing. It's really like right here. It's just most people are not going within to find it and to release it and to work with it because, we've been living these crazy busy lives with all sorts of things to dumb us down.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow. Well, cool.
Good stuff.
What else? I feel like there was something else.
Yeah, there was something else. What was it?
Let me just, as you were pondering, I'm going to just see if anybody is here.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, we had a really fabulous weekend. The weather has been so fantastic, like just beach breeze and wonder and beauty. And yesterday I was feeling super lazy in the morning and just let myself be lazy, and then like kind of hit like production in the afternoon and got all this stuff done. Yeah. And while I was getting all this stuff done and like, taking care of our home, I just got in this really grateful place that just, man, it was like tuning that dial to like perfection. And then the day just kept like getting more and more and more better. It was like, and that's what people, to understand how to do that in your life is really just about taking stock with what you have and feeling grateful for what you have and being able to tune your dial into that gratitude, and then watching as the universe just provides more of that for you. And that's why what's going on in the world and the things that are being shared on Facebook are really counterproductive to what we actually want to create. I've had to really get rid of a lot of people as far as like just hiding them off my feeds because of the conspiracy stuff that's out there and all that stuff. Like when we tune into that, we render ourselves powerless. So it's pulling above that and looking at your life, just your inner, your inner place, your inner life, and going, okay, what do I have to be grateful for? And then amping up from there.
Absolutely.
I had somebody ask me a question recently about, I don't feel like I'm really asking for a lot, and I don't know if I'm, not allowing myself to really dream and imagine big. And I was like, if you're content,
right,
place, satisfaction and contentment is a beautiful place, and it's always going to lead you to the next step. We don't always have to be trying and grasping. And
right. And also, I don't know, it's like there's something magical about just walking in nature. I mean, it's almost like societally we've been programmed to believe like you got to have $1 million, you got to have a house, and you got to have, all of these external materialistic kind of things. And all it does is keep it, when you don't have that, you have that separation between what is and what's, real. And yet if you walk into nature, I mean, that's a bazillion dollar, situation that you're tapping into. I just want to say hi to Robert Young, to Greg Madden. Hey, Katie. Nice to have you guys. There's a few more people watching us, but they're the ones who commented. So say hi if you're watching. But yeah, I just I feel like if things aren't feeling good in your life, step away from all the madness out there. I mean, again, I'm not there. I'm just making up my own life right now because I don't know what to believe about anything. So I'm making up my own beliefs.
I don't know how anybody really buys into anything right now because it's so crazy.
It is so crazy. And I've seen arguments for both sides of every situation that's happening right now that makes sense to me and that don't make sense to me. And so I'm like, you know what, then I'm just going to live. Again, I'm looking out at this beautiful, I see the ocean and I see all the palm trees, and
can we just be present? Like,
let's just be present.
Down the pipe, or what's happening in November? Like, do we have to keep thinking about those things? Like, I was getting really concerned about school because now we're, we said we were going to have school and now they're going back to online. And I'm like, you know what? I just have to trust my daughter's journey. Like, this is her senior year and I have to trust that everything is working out in her best interest. So if it's not in her best interest to go back to school, then it's not. And that's okay. So it's like giving up all the resistance around what's happening and
for sure
pissed off about what's happening, because I've definitely been there. I hit a pain body with a lady at the gym today. She was like, her son's in the Coast Guard and they're not letting them do graduations, and my daughter's boyfriend's in the Marines and she's going through the same thing where they can't watch them graduate. And it's like, if masks work, then why? And she just went off, and to the point where she was still yelling when she was walking out of the gym. And I was like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. I just asked her how her son was. But I thought about the pain bodies, like what we have for pain and how much we're vesting into these pain bodies that are just creating more pain.
That's right.
I'm pulling away from all of it and I'm just feeling the joy of where I am.
Yeah. Well, truly, that's the most healthy, most productive way to be right now, because there's so much that you could get amped up and upset about. So, it's interesting. I was going to say something. Oh, and Thomas is watching as well. Hello. Yeah, so I don't know anything else. I'm just trying to think what other things are happening.
I think we might have covered. Oh, we were talking about not being nice.
Oh yeah, I got to share this book. Holy cow, this is a life-changing.
Lisa and I have been known to be doormats.
Yes, this is called Not Nice.
Not doormats, but just like we want everybody to love us and like us. So we will often not say things that need to be said, and we will often listen to people for a really long time when we should have ended conversations. And you're definitely getting better at that.
I am definitely getting better.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
I know. And a lot of it was from running this group here on the island, an experiencers group about near-death experiences. And I was super like, oh my God, how do you run a group?
Yeah.
Because inevitably there's always one person that talks. Always. Why is that? Why is there always
the ones that always ask the stupid questions?
Right. And they always go on and on and on. So anyway, I just got to the point of like, I have to say something because I'm the leader. Like, what? So I just have found a way. And if anyone's listening and you're in my group and I say, oh, thanks so much for sharing that part of your story, we need to let everyone share. You're talking too much. Okay. I'm sorry, but just
still love you.
I do. I still love you. And I know it's coming from a place of neediness and just needing that love. I mean, it's just because people weren't loved. I think that's why truly people feel like they need to dominate and that they need to oh, I need this attention. I'm in the spotlight. It feels so good. I'm just going to keep talking and talking. And it's like, yeah, but you're making everybody else like not be happy right now. So it's just about sharing and anyway, so I'm super excited. It's a really long book. It's like 500 and something.
I feel like you're going to have a lot of things to share.
I've got a lot of things, but for example, I was invited to dinner to celebrate my exam my exam passing by this random stranger I met, but it was so cool because it was I feel like it was energetically.
If you want to take Lisa to dinner, you just have to ask.
Yeah, just ask. And I'm like, yeah, dinner, let's go. I said, as friends, I'd love to go. And it was really cool because he's a Native American and really great. We had so much fun. But, he shared a lot of stories about himself. And again, if you're watching, I loved hearing all your stories. I really did. But you didn't ask me any questions about myself, or I tried to share a couple of stories and just immediately it was like, it didn't seem like you were interested. So anyway, I'm learning techniques. I wish I had read this book a couple days earlier because now I have some great phrases that
just amped up your desire to do it differently.
Yeah. And I think, how many times have you been listening to somebody and they just are talking about on and on and on and on? I think we're all given the freedom to be able to say, wow, you know, again, thank you for sharing all that. And I would love to share a story about me. Would you be willing to listen, you know, and be honest, because otherwise we're just being miserable and we're allowing it to happen. And I don't want to do that anymore. Sorry, I am on a rant right now.
You are. Go girl, you go girl. This is good. I mean, somebody obviously needs to hear this, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, cause you know, you and I too, we're these people that we have these open hearts and people just come and dump.
Yeah, they dump. And we don't want to be dumped on anymore.
Yeah.
So, because energetically it's not connected to the work that we're doing in the world. It's like, if you want to benefit from our gifts, it's like, then let's do a session. But as far as like the victimhood goes, I have a very short attention span for that, we'll call it. And I also have a very short attention span for being put on obligations. Like my husband and I were both like, we don't do obligations anymore. Like we're not obligated to do anything for anyone. And that may sound cold, but it's really about self-love. It's about loving yourself and asking yourself what's good for you. Yeah. Because if we're always trying to do for others, we really are ignoring ourselves. And when we do that, we empty out our tanks, and then we've got nothing for manifestation. We've got nothing for living joy in our lives. So,
well, and that's what this book about, not being nice, because we're socialized as children. Be nice, share your toys, you know, don't talk unless you're asked a question, you know.
My parenting book about sharing, and I'm like, sharing sucks. Yeah. Like one time I had to share when I was little, my sister broke a Barbie I had just gotten that I was so excited about. My cousin gave me this like acrobatic Barbie, and my sister snapped its leg off because they made me give it to her, and she was like 3 years old. And I'm like, sharing sucks. Like, why do we make our kids do it? It's like we have these special things, and we don't, as adults, we don't do that, do we? Oh my God. Here, I love this piece of jewelry. I'm going to share.
I'm going to share it with you. That's a really good point. And I remember so clearly, it was probably my, I don't know, 4th or 5th birthday party. And we had a piñata and it all spilled out. And I got down and I just had a pile of candy, like right between my legs, right? You know, and I was so excited. It was my birthday and I had all this candy. My dad came up underneath from behind me and swooped all the candy out and said, "Hey kids, here's all the candy." And I'm like, that sucked. I mean, that was like, it's like, I mean, you know, it's a defining moment in my life when my dad stole all my candy from me, you know? So it's
about getting in tune with our intuitive nature, that where we can actually go within and say, is this good for me or not? Instead of just yesing people to death and doing things that don't really align with our, you know, our loving of ourselves.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's like being in a situation, whether it's in a group where somebody is just going on and on and on, you want a leader to step up and say, you know, again, thank you. And I love hearing people's stories, but we also, you know, when there's a limited amount of time, which we all have a limited amount of time, you know, we don't want to have to just endure it, you know, and so the same with like, if you run into somebody at the grocery store or somebody at the gym and they're just going on and on and on about something, and you're just like, you know, thank you, but I need to take a breath right now, or I'm feeling overwhelmed. And
don't mean to cut you off, because they'll just going. I mean,
they will. And that's it. And that's the other interesting thing. The more that I've interrupted people and like cut things off, I'm like shocked that they're not like, no, I'm going to keep talking. They never do. They stop.
Freedom, right?
They stop. And then it's like, oh, thank God, because it was making me uncomfortable.
Exactly. I have 5 minutes, so let's pull cards. Let's not even jump off of Facebook. Let's just share everything with Facebook today.
All right. Sounds good. Andy's got a big laughing face, so obviously.
Yay. Andy. Andy's got some good posts. He makes me laugh.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
All right. So we are going to pull cards about being nice.
Oh, I love it. Okay. What's our blockage card about being nice?
So our blockage card is
knowledge. Perform. Okay. So tuning in. This is a blockage card. So knowledge. I mean, so I think for me, what I'm getting on knowledge is because we believe, we were trained that it's not okay. Like you have to be nice. Like it's that, and that we have a choice, that we don't, you know, not that we're not nice, but that you don't have to placate and just.
Right. You know. And the perform piece of it is just sitting there and listening to people and not doing anything about it, where you're just like, you know, sitting at dinner and it's just, they're going on and on and on. So it's like, where do you where do you participate in a conversation that is really just one-sided, where you feel like someone's dumping?
Exactly. I love it. And Karen just said, I'm tired of being the one people vent to. I have felt literally like I'm absorbing their negativity. It is so true. And I think those of us that are, filled with light and love, it's like people just get attracted to that and just feel so cared, because we're holding that energy for them. But we also that's why we need to step in our power and just say, wow, I hear you, but again, this is too much for me to take in right now. Can we just, stop this conversation and talk about other things?
I just need a break right now. Also, things that I like to say to people is like, do you want a solution for this, or are you just like sharing your problem? Because if people are so much in the problem that even if I share a solution, it's like it goes right above their head.
Absolutely.
And my energy by even talking.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's so fascinating, but I love this idea of being able to take charge of what is going into my ears rather than just like, oh, leadership. Yeah, this is our, I love it. Accept leadership.
That you are a leader in your own freaking life.
Yes.
You don't have to let people suck you dry.
Yeah, this is the action, guys, is to accept that you are the leader of your life and nobody else is going to take care of you other than you. And that's one of the
lines. No obligation is going to make you more loved or more seen. Like, obligation will only deteriorate your energy and not really put you in a better position with people. We think they're going to love us more, but the truth is most of the people that put a lot of obligation on us you can't do enough to fill them up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And wait, before we do the final one, Petey says, in addition to avoiding obligations that I did not personally commit myself to, I've decided that I will no longer explain myself, which I love that too. And I love that. No is a complete answer. Why do we always feel like we have to come up with, the reason why? It doesn't matter. Do you want to do this? No.
No, that's not going to work for me. That's my new thing.
Yeah. Or no, I'm unavailable for that. Nope. I'm unavailable for that. It's like, I don't need to say anything more than that. But I'm telling you, Petey, I get into that all the time. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to say? And when somebody gives you like 3 or 4 reasons, they're lying.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got mastery, baby.
Andy says worry works. 99% of things I worry about never happen. Exactly. So
they say worrying is about praying for what you don't want. Actually.
Yeah, it's not. Okay, so your outcome card is what
Trust.
is it? Trust. Mastery. Wow.
So this is part of our mastery, like mastering this human connection with people, where it's not like we're depleting ourselves in our relationships, but we're actually taking our self relationship and putting it above everything else, is what actually creates our connection to the divine. It creates our connection between love. It creates our connection to joy, which actually will create more in all of our relationships too.
Well, and again, trusting the mastery, you're up-leveling your life when you take charge of this, and you're going to then call in people that are at a higher vibration as well, because that's the thing, right? When we allow ourselves to be the doormat or to just let people dump on us, we're holding a vibration that we're open to that. But when you step in and you're like, yeah, no longer, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, you're not even going to attract people into your life to have to deal with this.
And it's like, why do we feel like we owe people anything? I don't know, like, where that came from. I mean,
well, again, it's that childhood, our parents, did the best they could by telling us to get along, don't talk back, be quiet, be nice, all these things. And but then the funniest thing is they expect us to then grow up and be confident and talk, tell our truth and share, it's like this is so contradictory how we were, trained as children, to just be kind of these robots. And even our schooling system, our education system, sit down, follow directions, stop looking out the window. It's like we're turned into these robots. And then meanwhile, when we're let out of school, it's like, oh wait, now you got to go out and be confident and, self-sufficient and, you got to speak your truth and all this. And we're all like, oh my God, wait, what?
How do I even do that?
How do I do that? I've been trained not to. So it's just hilarious that we expect all this out of people. But seriously, if you read this book, not nice.
Not nice. I can't believe how big that book is.
Stop pleasing people. Stop people pleasing, staying silent and feeling guilty, and start speaking up, saying no, asking boldly, and unapologetically being yourself.
I love the unapologetic and, just touching on guilt a little bit, because we have been, trained to feel guilty about things. Guilt is, if you look at the Abraham Hicks emotional scale, guilt is the next lowest emotion to depression, which depression is like the
Wow.
low. So guilt is right there.
Which is funny. I just want to say this was chapter 3 that I was reading about today. Yeah. So he talks all about guilt. So anyway,
guilt serves no one. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve them. All it does is put you in a low vibrational state where you're going to attract more reasons to feel guilty. I gave up guilt a really long time ago. And as a mother, that's a pretty big feat, because our kids are really good at making us feel guilty. Mm-hmm. And coming from a childhood where, it was, I wasn't really taught to do things for others, as far as like in my parenting skills, I would always overdo for my kids, overdo for them. Like we always do this as well. Most of the time we do this. If we're going to break generational cycles, we're like, well, if I ate crappy food when I was little, then my kids are going to get healthy food. Like a lot of times we do.
Yeah. The pendulum totally swings. Right.
Yeah. And then just realizing that I was overcompensating for things that I didn't get in my childhood actually puts you on the other side of the scale, and you disempower your kids. So realizing that was like pulling back, not saying yes, not offering. I had the worst freaking habit of offering to do things for my kids and then being resentful when I had to do them. And then they would be like, Mom, I didn't even ask you, you offered. And I was like, shit, I did, like, what am I doing? So it's being really conscious, really aware, and asking yourself always, and funny, my appointment just got moved, so I don't have to go just yet.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, oh wait, I think we need to go.
Okay. Got a message. Yeah. Asking yourself always, what is the energy that I'm moving from? Am I doing this out of obligation? Am I doing this because I feel guilty? Am I doing this because I want this person to like me? Mm-hmm. Always asking yourself that is asking yourself to do healing work and to get really in tuned with, am I doing this in the best interest of myself? We haven't been taught to do that. We've been told that's selfish, but the truth is our lives are going to work much better in the scope of joy when we ask those questions and we start working from a framework of, oh yeah, this is really good for me. This feels really good for me.
Absolutely. I love it so much. And that's what he talks about, the guilt in here. The only time guilt is actual is when that you've done something and you wished you hadn't. Like, and he gave an example of he picked up his baby and it was first thing in the morning and he had to pee really bad. So he's like, he knew that if he tried to hold the baby, it would squirm out of his arms. And so he left the baby in the living room and then ran to the bathroom. Well, he started screaming. And the whole idea was he didn't want to wake up his wife, right? So he got all irritated. He ran back out there and he picked up the son a little harder than he wanted. Yeah. And was like, what is wrong with you? Well, the kid had bumped his head or something. And so tears were rolling down and he had a big red spot. And his heart immediately melted. Well, he did. He felt guilty, which was, rightly so. He was a little rough with the kid and not very, whereas this other guilt is all just made up, about like, oh God, I don't want to do it. So I'm going to make up an excuse. And then it's all self-inflicted guilt, which is not
self-inflicted guilt. Yeah.
Yeah. Not helpful.
I like the idea of just going within and asking yourself, like, what energy am I moving from?
Yeah.
Because we're moving so fast in life that we don't often question, or we say yes before we really think about things. And then
let me think about that.
Yeah. So, my granddaughter, they moved to California. So, I had to put some boundaries down when they moved here, and I adore them and I love them. And I would love to be with my grandbaby all the time, but I didn't want to be that grandma. So now, it caused some confrontation. We definitely had confrontation and feelings, her own feelings that needed to be healed from that. And, one thing, like, you can't make me feel guilty. I don't have it in me. I know that I'm a good mother. I know I'm a good grandmother. So that we don't play that card.
Yeah.
So it's very much cleaner. Like, that confrontation doesn't need to turn into this big fight and trauma. So now I have her once a week and I am so overjoyed to spend time with her that it doesn't feel like an obligation. And I don't feel, it's like I look forward to it. So that's important.
Especially because it does. Otherwise it starts to get to that resentful stage and, and it's like, oh my God, what have I done? And so if you are feeling resentment, it's because you've allowed yourself to, expand rather than
not freedom.
the boundary. No. And that's, so anyway, it's very exciting.
Yeah,
it's
not going to lead you to joy anytime soon.
No. Well, it's wonderful. What a great show. So much fun.
We love you guys.
Love you. So yeah, and reach out. Be sure to like our YouTube channel or whatever, subscribe and hit the little bell so you get.
You gotta look Goldyn and Lisa at the Real Ones up on YouTube. Otherwise, you'll get like some rapper.
Yeah, we'll put the link. I'll put the link in the message here.
Yeah, but we love you all.
Okay, take care. Aloha. All right, so we are done. I'm gonna say goodbye here to everybody. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, bye. Peace.